Hi everybody, how are we all? Why is my camera doing that? I don't want it to focus, it should be on manual focus. How are we all? Hi Marion, you were here very early. Hi Jean, hi Catherine. Just looking for myself in the group as well. There we go. Oh, need to turn the sound down, don't want to hear myself. Hi Deborah. Hi Linda. Hi Jean. Did you all watch the shows? Did you see the one this morning? The one this morning was fabulous. Lisa hasn't worked with Joe for such a long time and he's so funny. I just love him. I think he's ace. Hi Teresa. Can you all hear me and see me okay? Just hoping that the picture is as good on YouTube as it looks like it is in the group. Hi Lorraine. Hi Sandra. Hi Karin from Germany. That's a new name. Don't think you've joined us before, so welcome. Hello Mavis. Yes, all okay. Brilliant. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Deborah. Looking and sounding fine. Thanks, Lorraine. Yeah, so I was saying, Joe Rembrandts this morning. Oh, he's so funny. Good morning, Melinda from Texas. Welcome. I don't think I've seen your name before either. So welcome along. Hi, Beverly. Hi, Pat. Right, I think we'll make a start because I'm doing 2 lots of stenciling. Everything's sort of prepped except the first little bit, so I'll just quickly run through what I'm going to be using first. She does make some fabulous products, Corinne. Lisa Horton Crafts is renowned worldwide, I have to say now. So, morning Patricia, afternoon even. Hi Janet. So yeah, some fabulous products, and she's beginning to be able to distribute, as I say, worldwide. So, you know, that name will be out there for quite some time to come. Hi Doreen. So let's just run through what I'm going to be using, and obviously the main part of my card is going to be based on this fabulous Tea Rose. I'd not used it before, so I thought, well, you know, it's not that old, it's a reasonably new release, so let's go with this one and have a little bit of fun. So I've done one colour for the card that I've already prepped, and I'm doing a completely different colour for today. Hi Carol. Okay, so we're using the Tea Rose, and we're also using the Sandstone Wall. Now this came out a couple of months ago, and again, it's not something I'd used before, but I have to say the effect that it gives is outstanding. It really is a fabulous little embossing folder and stencil, and there's only one stencil because you only need one, but it's just fabulous. I love it. I'm also using the Rose Garden stencil. This wasn't planned. I added this in whilst I was prepping the card that I've already done. I just thought the background needed something. So because I'm using the Tea Rose, I've went with the Rose Garden stencil just to do the background. On the card that I've prepped, I've used the Fabulous Fonts Sentiments, and I used the Just Because. I was going to use the same one on today's card, but I've changed my mind and I'm using the bold phrases instead. I'm actually using the especially for you, okay? And then I've used the nested, scalloped and stitched rectangles to cut out my 2 base pieces that go on my main card. It's a fabulous little stencil, isn't it, Lorraine? So that's everything that I'm using. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stencil through this sandstone wall. All right. Now, when you first use it, I would just say take a couple of minutes to just have a look at your folder and have a look at your stencil. You can easily work out which way round your stencil is once you've worked out which way round your embossing folder is. There is a deboss and an emboss side. On the deboss side, the mortar lines stand proud, okay, but on the emboss side it's the brickwork that stands proud. So I've just worked out which way round I want it. I want the mortar lines to press into my card and I want the brickwork to press up into my card, okay, from the back, so that the brickwork sort of stands proud from the mortar, which is what a brick wall would look like, isn't it? Hi Joanne. Hi Janet. So yeah, so I've worked out which is which and I've marked them as deboss and emboss. And then all I've done is line up the stencil with the embossing folder to work out which way round I need to use it. Because if I use it that way round, it's not going to line up with the embossing folder. So just take a couple of minutes to line it up with the folder, which is dead easy to do. And then you can decide you want to put an F for front facing or forwards or whatever. And then you'll always get it right. Okay. So just put the embossing folder to one side. Now I've cut my card and I've used those nested and stitched rectangles. And obviously you can put your piece of card wherever you like within this stencil. But to make it easier to line it up when you come to emboss it, I would say go for a side and a top or a side and a bottom. So either line it up at the top in the top corner or line it up in one of the bottom corners. And that way you can line it up in your embossing folder an awful lot easier. Okay. Hi Carolyn. Hi B. Hi Jill. So I'm going with top left hand corner and I'm going to start off with straw hat. My colours are really muted for the sandstone wall because I want it in the background, but I don't want it to sort of leap off the page. I want the flowers to be the main sort of focus on here. So I'm going quite lightly with this straw hat. I mean, you probably can't even see, to be honest. I'm struggling to see it myself. You can't really see this straw hat colour, but I wanted to start with this as a base and then I'm going to go in with that almond frosting over the top, but just randomly, not all over. So it'll just be sort of randomly placed shades of almond frosting. And I go gently because obviously this is quite a detailed stencil. You can see that it is moving while I'm sort of doing this inking, this brushing. But if you're careful, you take a little bit of time, it's not going to lift and spoil. Okay. Now if I take the stencil off, you'll be able to see, hopefully, where I've added that straw hat. It's very, very pale, but you can actually see it. I'm not sure whether it'll, let me just lift that up a little bit. Don't know whether you can see the inking on there. It is very pale, but it is there, okay? And I don't want it any darker than that. So I'm just going to pop that back on there, put the lid on that one, and then I'm going to go with almond frosting. I'm using the same brush because the straw hat is so pale that it isn't going to interfere with any of this inking, okay? So you can see that I'm actually, as well as having it on the pegs, I am actually holding down this stencil. Each time I move my hand, I'm holding it in a different place. And that's literally just to keep it from lifting while I'm inking, okay? And as I said, I'm not going all over. I'm just going quite random with this almond frosting. Just want the almond frosting to pick up where the straw hat didn't. Okay, and I'm going to leave it at that because that's really all I want. Okay, so you can see that there's 2 lots of shading on there, but it just looks beautiful. But once you pop this through the embossing folder, it so makes a difference. It really does. Up to now, found the right side of the. Do you know, I've never even looked, Teresa, to be honest. So you could well be right. Hi, Cindy. So I'm just going to run this through my die cutting machine. So just bear with, 2 secs. But I wanted to do the stenciling with you, so I didn't have any choice as to whether to emboss it or not beforehand. So I'll just move that out of the way. So you can see there where the ink has just picked up in little places, because I wanted it to look like quite a random brick wall. Do you know what I mean? So here's a fabulous little stencil and embossing folder, Pat. I really like it, and I should probably use it an awful lot more. So just before I go to the next phase, let me show you the card that I already made in preparation. So as you can see, I've used the Tea Rose, and this one is sort of pinks, corals, that sort of colour. And again, I've done the Sandstone Wall in the background. And the colours that I used on this one were Coral Beach, that one, Rustic Coral, and Red Grapefruit. I've also used eucalyptus leaves on the leaves, okay, and then I went over the sort of very edges with garden sage, and I'm using those colours today, which is why I haven't reached them out separately. All right, and then you can see in the background where I use that rose stencil here. Now this is, after I'd done it, I felt it was a little bit too dark. It stood out a little bit too much for what I wanted, but I don't think it spoils it. But I am going to try and go a little bit softer today because it's going to be a different colour. All right, so you can see from my array of colours here what sort of colours I'm going to be using. So it's going to look totally different to this one. So that's where we're headed, sort of. Okay, so that's my brick wall. I'm going to put that to one side for now, and I'm going to reach my stencils, and we're going to do the Tea Rose. Now you can see they're all quite dirty because I've used them this morning, but I'm using the same colours, so I'm not really bothered. Okay, I am just going to wipe off some of the ink because I don't want it to contaminate, but I'm not worried about washing them because I'm using the same colours. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Oh, hi Val, didn't see you pop in. Hi Tony, no worries. Okay, so we're going in with eucalyptus leaves for our first layer. And I think this colour is, it's one I don't use enough, but it is a beautiful, beautiful shade of green. But then once I've done the eucalyptus leaves, I'm just going to go round the edges, sort of the centre, with that garden sage, just to give a bit of shading on those leaves. So I'm coming in with other 2 sets of comments. Yes, Janet, there are. It's primarily on YouTube, but I am streaming it into the group, and I'm also streaming it onto Lisa's business page. So yes, there are more than one lot of comments, which is why I'm speaking to people you can't see, which is what Lisa does on a Friday. And oh my word, it's confusing. But you know, we live and learn, and we have to move forward with the times. And YouTube is a much better platform for Lisa as a business. So, you know, let's go with the flow. So I'm just putting a little bit of this garden sage sort of right on the edges of these leaves. I'm coming in from where the flowers will sit in front of the leaves, if you like. So this is sort of a little bit of shadow and just a little bit of shading, just to give them a little bit more of a, I don't know, realistic look, I suppose. Okay, so that's the first layer. Hi Lorraine. So that's my garden sage, just move that out of the way. Now on here, I'm going to go with the natural turquoise. And again, you can see that I have already used these several times this morning, because obviously I've done more than one lot of stenciling. But I'm going to use the natural turquoise to start with. I'm just going to clean off that brush. I'm using the same brush for turquoise, the Surf's Up and the Deep Ocean, because they're all sort of blues, but because I used Deep Ocean last, I needed to clean my brush. So we'll start off with this natural turquoise, and this is such a beautiful colour. I mean, when I saw it, I thought, oh, that's a green. No, it's not. It definitely isn't a green. It's a beautiful greeny blue, which obviously is what turquoise is. So I'm just starting around the edges of this first layer. A little bit heavy there, but I really don't think it'll matter once I've added all the other layers on top. And you'll notice I'm not going right to the middle, and I just think that adds to the overall effect of the flower when we've finished. Not worried about the overspill either, because I'm going to die cut it, so it's going to be cut out, so I'll lose that. So layer 3, we're going to come in and we're going to use Surf's Up, okay? And again, you can see that I've already used this stencil this morning. You take a lot of that ink off. I'm not worried about brushing it into those apertures, because I'm going into those apertures anyway, aren't I? So I'm not particularly worried about any colour contamination, because it won't matter. So we're coming with this Surf's Up, and again I'm going round the edges and working my way into the middle, but I'm not going right into the middle. So some of the leaves will be, some of the petals rather, will be fully coloured and others won't. And the veins on my leaves will also be covered up with Surf's Up. But once I've added what I'm going to add next, that will change. Okay, so that's the Surf's Up. But before I take that stencil off, I am just going to come in with a little bit of this tourmaline blue. It is a gorgeous colour. It's quite a sort of a grey blue, but it just adds enough detail for you to change things up. So I take quite a bit of the ink off because I don't want it really, really heavy. But I am just going to come over those leaf veins with a little bit of that tourmaline blue. Thank you, Beverly. Swapped over, have you, Janet? I've got to be honest, YouTube is the best place to watch. It helps with all the algorithms for Lisa Horton Crafts, and it's just a good platform to watch on. So I am going and adding some shadow to those petals that I've just done in that Surf's Up. And I've come in at the middle here and just spread that out. It looks hideous on here, but trust me, when I've finished, it will look good, because this sort of thing just adds a little bit of realism to your design, your flowers, because obviously there's always shadow on petals where other petals sit in front of it, isn't there? So I think it's worth the effort. Now it doesn't look anything there, but when I've added the other layers, it will do. So if I just pop the lid back on that and move it up there, because then I can come in with my Deep Ocean. And again, you can see that I've used this morning. So I'll just take a lot of that off there, and then we can come in again. And again, same brush, and I'm coming in from the outside and I'm working my way in But again, I probably won't go right to the centre of the flower, because you don't need to. And the effect that you get when you're finished will be well worth it. So this is Deep Ocean. And I think all three of these colours work together so beautifully. I'm using Lisa's white texture card as well. I just adore this white texture card. I want more colours because I just think it's fab. Okay, so that's my Deep Ocean. And again, I'm just going to darken some of those places with that tourmaline blue, because I just think it looks better. I'm going really, really lightly because there's quite a bit of ink there. You don't need much. It's just a hint of a shadow that you're after, really. And it doesn't take you very long at all, to be honest, just to add that little bit of shadow. But those couple of minutes that you take will make all the difference to your finished piece, in my opinion. So I'm just coming in on the edges of those petals, and then a little bit down here, and then across there like that. Okay. And once you've finished and added all your detail and embossed it, cut it out and embossed it, honestly, it'll blow you away. It really will. So again, I'm going to come in with Deep Ocean to put the veins on the petals. And really, I'm using the Wonder Brush for speed, really, because obviously this is my second lot of stenciling, and I didn't want to sort of waste too much time. You could use a stencil brush. A stencil brush will give you a more intense colour through those tiny little apertures, but I don't really think it matters. Use whatever you're comfortable with. Use whatever you want. And again, I'm just going to add that tourmaline blue just on the edges of some of those veins on those petals. Not a great deal, just enough to make it a little bit different. And again, it won't look anything until you put it all together, I don't think. But I do think it's worth taking a little bit of time just to add those little accents in. Okay, I love that. I like the colours. So then we're coming to put the centre of the flower in. So stencil number 6. There's only 7 in the set, and they do come together really, really quickly. I'm not worried that I'm going on top of a little bit of blue. I think it just adds to the interest in that centrepiece. And then my last one, number 7, is going to be that beautiful garden sage, just on those little seed heads there, like that. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? I just love those colours together. I just think they just all go together, don't you think? You know, there's the colours that Lisa's come up with, they just blend so beautifully together. Those 3 pinks or corals that I've used for the other one, that they just gel properly. So obviously then you would die cut that, and you would then emboss it. Okay, so these are the 3. Good old true blue Peter fashion. These are the ones I did earlier. Okay, now you can see that they all do look slightly different. Even to this one that I've done this morning, this afternoon, they all look a little bit different. Well, that's good, because that's what nature does, isn't it? Nature is, it doesn't, you can have 3 roses on the same bush and they'll all look a different shade of the same colours. Yeah, I quite agree with you, Janet. You're better sticking with what Lisa's brought out to use with her inks, because they truly are the best. And the only thing I would say is I made the fatal mistake of washing mine, my first set, and I've never washed any since, because they do tend to go a little bit hard. The bristles will go a little bit hard depending on what you wash them in. But I honestly think it's not worth washing. Just wipe them off on a microfiber cloth or some paper until you get no more colour off, and then go ahead and use it for something else. Try and stick within a colour family, because then you're not going to get any cross-contamination, but I really don't think it's worth washing them. So those are my flowers for today's card. And this is my blank card, and I've put a little T for top because I have an awful habit of just putting the card down, and then carrying on and doing everything, and then I go, oh dear, I've done it wrong. Did that the other day. So now, because I know I'm not going to see this, I put a little T and an arrow, so as I know which way I put it in. So this is my base card, the base, so where this is coral, this is blue, okay? And that is going to go in the middle of the card. Initially, I was going to do a 5x7, but to be honest, it just looked cramped. It just looked overcrowded, and I didn't like it. So I've gone with a bigger card. This is an 8x8 card. I know that's no good for the US market, but you can, of course, adapt what I'm doing to suit whatever card size you want to use. Thank you, Valerie. So this is my piece that's going down first, but as I say, I wanted that difference on that background. So I've used the rose stencil, and I've quite literally just gone all around the card with the stencil and brushed through the stencil. Now I'm going to take a lot of the ink off here, because I don't want it to be really, really dark. So I'm going to start on the corner here, and I am hardly touching this card at all, okay? Obviously I can't use my pegs because there's no holes on this stencil, and I haven't got round to adding them on yet. That's fine. And then I'm just going to use the other rose, probably this one, to go in the middle, making sure that my frame is off the edge of the card, otherwise you're going to end up with a white line down here and it looks hideous. Ask me how I know. And then I'm just going to ink through that, and you'll notice, again, not re-inking my brush at all. And then I'm coming back down here, and I'm quite literally just going round the card, just inking through that stencil, lightly, just to add some colour, some interest, because I'm using roses on the main card, so why would I not use roses on the background? You could use anything in the background, anything you want, but I just wanted a frame, and I thought, well, if I'm going to use a frame, why not have roses? Because then it'll all tie in together, won't it? And again, still not re-inking that brush, because some of these are a little bit dark, but I think once we've added the this piece and our other flowers, this will sort of fade into the background a little bit. Okay, so that's my stenciling for the background. Okay, and that's all I'm doing. And then I'm going to put this down in the middle. So I've already put my pads on the back, and I did think about doing what Claire did yesterday, but I don't want to. I like doing this, and it doesn't take that long, does it really? She did make me feel quite guilty about making you sit and watch this, but you don't mind really, do you? Which stencil is it you love, Carolyn? Is it the Tea Rose or the Rose Garden that I've just used? I mean, they're both equally as fabulous, but the Tea Rose is a little bit special, I think. So, let's make sure it's straight, so I don't like wonky stuff. And then I take my Sandstone Wall. Now obviously I haven't put my pads on the back of here yet because, well, I couldn't, could I? Because I needed to stencil it and run it through. 1,000,001. 1,000,001. Why, Pat? Like I say, use 1,000,001 sticky pads. So I'll just add these round here quickly. It won't take me long, but I do like it to sit. Rose Garden, yeah, it is a nice stencil, and I just think it gives a really nice background to whatever you're doing. The other one it would work well with, of course, is the Rose Corner. That's a really nice stencil. In fact, Embossing Folder and Stencil, I nearly used that to put round the outside. In fact, I cut them ready to use, and when I put them down I thought it's too much. It just doesn't look, it's not balanced, it just looks too much. So I took it off and I went with the stencil instead. And that's what it's all about, isn't it, really? Trial and error, trying different things, playing around with what you've got and seeing where it gets you. If you don't like it, it's a piece of card at the end of the day, isn't it? And you haven't really lost much. And sometimes if I stencil on a card blank, and then I think, actually, do you know what? That doesn't go with the card that I'm making. I don't throw the card away. I don't throw the card away, hang on to it, and I'll use it on another project because it'll always come in useful somewhere. Yes, Lorraine, there is always room for just one more pad. That made me laugh. You didn't really, Claire. You didn't really. It's each to their own, isn't it? It's whatever works for you at the end of the day. Okay, so that's my Sandstone Wall. And then I just need to decide where I'm going to put my flowers. Now, initially, when I started the card, I was just going to use the one and my sentiment up here. And then I thought, well, it looks a bit nothing, really. So, missing the shape cards. I'll see what I can do, Janet. So I've done one of these, which is going to go in the middle here, okay? And I've put a double pad right on the edge because this one is going to sit on top of these two, all right? And whilst those single pads will stick to what's here, these double pads are going to stick to the card, so that way it's all level, all right? So we just need to work out where I want these to sit. And I don't really want them to hang over the edge of the card too much because I don't want them to sort of get bent in the post. So if I put this one down first, and after I'd finished the coral coloured one, I looked at it, and whilst I said the rose embossing was a little bit dark around the card, I also thought my placement of my flowers wasn't the best, and I'll show you what I mean in a sec. So this one is going up here, and I'm taking it a little bit higher than I did on the other one. Okay, so that one's going there, and then this one will come here. But again, like I say, I don't really want it to hang outside the edge of my card, so I just need to be aware of that when I place this down. All right, now you can see that this is quite low, so actually I might add a little bit of 3D glue gel onto that pad as well, just to make it a bit more level. I could have put 2 pads on it, but I might do that actually. Just so that the leaves don't sort of dip, I will just put another pad over this side. Okay, I'll just whip that off there. And then I can pop this one down here, and then this is going to sit level with the rest of the card, hopefully. So that one's going to go there, like so. And again, it's not hanging over the edge of the card. And then this one, my third one, is just going to sit in between those two. So I'm sort of making a, you know, a frame out of them, but not a complete frame, if you know what I mean. So if I just whip these off the back of here, you know, Claire, the beauty of these is if you put them on a bit before you do your live, the backs come off easier. If you put them on and try and take them off while you're live, it don't work the same. So I'm just going to pop this one down here. Now when I did the other one, I did think, in fact I did cut off the leaves on the two that were underneath. But after I'd done it, I didn't like it, so I had to not use that flower, which I've still got somewhere here. I can use it on something else, so I'd cut the leaves off, okay, and because they were going underneath, it didn't matter. But when I actually put it all together, it didn't look right, so I re-stenciled, and I'll use that on something else. So this one is going about there, like so. Okay, so those are my flowers arranged. Now if I show you the one that I did yesterday and show you what I mean, on this one I've sort of come round in a bigger arc, if you like, and this one here should have been a little bit further up to make it look a little bit more balanced. So it looks completely different to this one, but I'm happier with this one because by way of balance I think it looks better. Okay, obviously totally up to you, your choice. Then you know, you do whatever you want. Sorry, it's frozen, Teresa. Mine seems to be okay everywhere. Facebook's frozen. Well, I'm watching on Facebook and my Facebook's okay. So anyway, so that's how I decided to change the layout slightly. And then I've just used, as I say, the bold phrases, and I've used the especially for you. I've cut the back piece in the same blue that my frame is in, and then the words I've actually cut in the fabulous satin card that Lisa bought out recently. You know, that humongous pack of satin card, and this is the blue. And I just think it sort of sits nicely on that card. I haven't decided where to put it yet. Whether I put it, I don't know. What do you think? Where should I put it? Should I put it up the top? Should I put it down there? Not sure. I could put it down there and put a couple of gems up here, couldn't I? I don't know whether I want to though. Or should I put it in the middle? Tell me, tell me, tell me. Where should I put it? In the middle. Bottom or the middle? So the bottom or the middle? Let's go with the middle. Shall we go with the middle? Let's. So I'm going to put a couple of pads this side, and then I'm just going to glue this one down, I think, to this side. So we'll go, in fact that might be too wide. Leave that there. I'm just going to cut this down because I think it's a little bit too wide. So I'll put that there and that one there. Take that off. Put another one on the top, like so, and then cut the other one down and put it on top of that other small one. Then whip that off there, like that, and pop that on there. And then I can just add glue to this side so that it's all level. So if I add my glue down here, and then this side will sit off that frame beautifully, like so. So there you go. Two completely different looking cards using the same set. Personally prefer the blue one to the, I like this one, but I prefer this one. I sound like an advert, don't I? I like this one, but then I like this one. This is my favourite. But it just goes to show that if you put more than one of these, you don't have to use them singly. You can use them, you could use half a dozen and make a really big bouquet out of it. If you wanted to, you could go all the way around and make a wreath out of it if you wanted. Just sort of work outside the box a little bit sometimes. You'd be surprised what you come up with. So just write in your Christmas list and put the tea roses on. Well, I don't think you'll be disappointed, B. I really don't. They are a fabulous set to work with, and they give, I think, fabulous results, depending on what colours you use. They'll give brilliant results no matter what colour you use. That's what I should have said. So I will love you and leave you there. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Lisa will be with you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, as per usual. I'll be back with you on Monday, and then Claire will be with you Tuesday and Thursday next week. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for joining me. I will try and go through comments if I can find them afterwards, but for some reason they're not showing, and I'm still yet to work it out. So if I don't answer your comment, then I'm sorry. If you've got a question and I can't see it, or you don't get an answer and you still want an answer to the question, pop me a question in the group or message me. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so I will see you next Monday, but I'll see you around at Lisa's tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. So have a fabulous weekend, everybody, and take care of each other. Bye now.